475 people unfriended me. Basically, due to Scientology disconnection, I couldn't operate my business at the same level I was operating it at. And she told me that she may not be able to go because she's not going to be able to be seen publicly around me because she doesn't know if OS is going to be there. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So it's been a little while since I posted a video. I've been a little bit depressed, not really feeling like myself lately, so I haven't necessarily wanted to come on camera to make a video. You can go to my other channel if you want to hear my stories about what's going on in my personal life. But basically, I wanted to come on video today to discuss the topic of disconnection and how it's personally affected my life and how disconnection ended up resulting in me having to close down my small business that I had. So I guess we'll just kind of jump right into it. I feel a little bit weird talking about this as well, just because I didn't have my family taken away from me, and I know that a lot of people have had disconnection in a lot worse ways than I have experienced, but I think it's still a tale that needs to be told and put out there. Since I did get into Scientology in the 2000s, obviously Facebook and social media was very prevalent, so I would add different friends and colleagues and acquaintances and co-workers and colleagues and others that were Scientologists. I would add them on my social media pages. So that's nothing odd or weird or anything like that, but it just, bear with me in the story. So I decided to open up a small business called Talent Mailings. And what Talent Mailings did was, it was a marketing service for actors, and I would do public relations work as well. But basically, when actors were trying to break into the entertainment industry, they would hire me, and I would be hired and retained on like a monthly basis. And what I would do is I would send out headshots and resumes to casting directors, to agents, postcards. I would put together like a marketing package and help them get like representation, help them get started in the entertainment industry, since I was really good on the marketing side of things. So obviously Hollywood is huge for the entertainment industry, but my clients were 99% Scientologists from the Celebrity Center. Because what would happen is the registrar, which is your Scientology salesperson, they would want to help me because I would give my money to them. So what they would do is they would tell the new actor who they would have that they're regging, hey, you know, you want to get your acting career started, you want to make some money, hey, you should give a call to Steve Mango. Like, I was like the go-to guy to help people get started in the entertainment industry. So people would retain me, and then Scientology knew that, you know, Billy Bob hired me, because they would call Billy Bob and say, hey, how did your conversation with Steve Mango go? Oh, great, I signed up for a 3-month package with him. I'm going to get into some acting classes and whatever. So then that registrar would call me and say, hey, so-and-so paid you for 3 months, so, you know, let's flow some money towards your next bridge step. Let's flow money towards this, to IAS, whatever it would be. They would find a way to get that money from me because they knew I had it. So if I came up with an excuse, then, you know, obviously it was considered like, you know, they'd have to handle my objection, and there was all these different games they would play, and that's a whole nother story time video if you want to know about what was going on with my business in Scientology. But I did have this business, and I was making my income 99% due to Scientology through the Celebrity Center, not from Scientology, but from Scientologists who were entertainers, actors, models, whatever. So I had my business going, and I was really scared because, not that I was getting old per se, like I don't want to make it like, oh, I look so old, but I was doing a lot of background jobs and stand-in jobs on Disney and Nickelodeon shows. And when I was 18 years old, I could book those jobs every single day, and I could make a substantial amount of money as a stand-in on those TV shows. But, you know, as I'm getting older, they can't put me, say, in the background on those shows. Like, I could still maybe work as a stand-in, obviously, but I couldn't work as someone who was on camera if I looked like I'm, you know, in my 20s and it's supposed to be like a kid scene or something, like with 12-year-olds. So I couldn't play those roles. Even though when I was 18, I could look 12. Now, when I was 21, 22, 23, I didn't look as young as I did. So I was getting really nervous because I didn't think like I could still, you know, play a lot of the roles that I was playing and auditioning for those type of parts. And when you get in your 20s it starts getting harder because they start saying like, oh, you need to have more credits on your resume and all these different things. So I was solely relying on this business, but then I was starting to question and have my doubts about Scientology. So I knew deep down that if I left Scientology, then I'm going to have to figure out a whole new marketing strategy or figure something else out, because none of my clients and other people who would help me like write cover letters and stuff like as like my employees, they wouldn't be working with me anymore. And I had to make a really big decision, because it was either my business and my Scientology connections and everything that went along with that, even though I was being abused physically, mentally, spiritually, on every single level within the Church of Scientology. So obviously that's not a reason to stay just because I have a business. And then there's the other side of things, which is like, I'm gay, I want to be out, I want to enjoy my life, I want to be in a relationship, like I want to do things that Scientology wouldn't afford me because I am gay. Nowadays, which is a little bit different than before, there's now Facebook police. There's people like Jojo Zawawi, and there's other people who are like these longtime Scientologists that patrol the internet and they patrol Facebook. So what they do is a declare order, say, goes out on me, and they say Steve Mango is a suppressive person, right? Someone like Jojo Zawawi would go on my page and type in Stephen Mango, and they would see who on my friend list or who may be like a mutual connection or whatever. And then someone like Jojo will write to these mutual friends and say, hey, you're connected to Stephen Mango, he's an enemy of our church, contact your local ethics officer if you have any question on what regarding, but Stephen Mango is a suppressive person, you must unfriend him. So that's basically what I was facing. So I went in my backyard and I filmed my expose video and I put it on the internet, and I knew that I was doomed to lose friendships, I was doomed to lose business and all of that sort of stuff, but I had to think, what is right? What is for the greatest good? You know, in Scientology terms, what is for the greatest good? And the greatest good isn't me staying inside the Church of Scientology. Because if I stay inside the Church of Scientology, I'm suppressed, I'm not being true to myself, I'm basically agreeing to the abuses and everything that's going on, right? So I left, point blank. So then what happened was, overnight, 475 people unfriended me. Now, that's not a Facebook glitch. That's not something that was unintentional. These were all Scientologists, only Scientologists, all friends, all colleagues, business people, whatever. They all instantly unfriended me because they have either Facebook police on them or whatever, and they get told, you must unfriend Stephen Mango, he's an enemy. Now, there's no way overnight so many people would just unfriend me. Like, you know, like say someone posts a status about the president or something. They may get a couple people unfriend them here and there, but it's not like like everyone all at once unfriends the person, right? Like you've seen that in your own life probably on Facebook. Maybe a couple times people may unfriend you and whatever, 2-3 people, you make a post and people don't agree or something. But this is different. This is hundreds of people overnight. So obviously when I would try to play dumb and reach out to people and be like, hey, you know, your package is up for renewal or whatever for the business stuff, no response, you're an SP, we don't want to hear from you, whatever. So then basically due to Scientology disconnection, I couldn't operate my business at the same level I was operating it at. Now, yes, we're in Hollywood, there's a million actors out there, but I didn't have like the same, all my friends and everyone I knew were Scientologists, so I'd have to go out into like the real WOG world, so to speak, and then I'd have to try to go find people to be my client. And it sounds like, oh yeah, just go out and hand postcards or something, but there's a million people in Hollywood that are doing marketing services and whatever for actors, so it's not as easy as it seems to have like the company that I had in Hollywood, because there's a million people, but I had the Scientology affiliation with these other people that's why they trusted and they wanted to hire me versus hiring some like WOG person. So my business was reliant on a lot of my Scientology connections that I had. And this story isn't new. There's other people who have had similar circumstances. You don't have to, you know, take my word for it. There's other people who've lost businesses and other things as well due to Scientology. But for this to happen to me was devastating because I was trying to support myself. I'm not relying on anyone. I'm independent. Like, there's nothing, like, there's no cash reserve. Scientology took all my money. They took $50,000 from me, right? I met my husband now, but it was my boyfriend at the time, but I was still living on my own. I didn't have what I have now. Like I didn't have a house. I couldn't just be like, oh honey, pay the bills this month or something. Like I had to support myself. So I had to really quickly, I was basically month to month because I had business expenses, my rent and all this sort of stuff. I didn't have a big backup. So I eventually had to close the business. It was for the best. I couldn't keep doing it. It wasn't my true passion. Like I went to hairdressing school and that's what I really wanted to do. Hairdressing's not good for me right now. I have carpal tunnel. I am on workers' compensation. Like my life is shit right now for the most part with my career stuff too, but Scientology really put a big like elephant like footprint in my life, and they stomped down and I had to pick up the pieces, and I went to school and now I'm still kind of struggling and trying to get my life together. So that's besides the point. The point is that Scientology polices your Facebook. If you're a Scientologist, they tell you who you should be friends with, who you shouldn't be friends with, and that's not being able to think for yourself. Being in a religion should be your own, spiritual growth and betterment, not, unfriend this person because, they're an enemy and da-da-da-da. Like, who wants to play those games with Scientology? It's not a spiritual activity. Just because someone doesn't agree anymore and someone doesn't want to be a part of your religious organization, that means that you're going to tell everyone that they knew to cut them out of their life and everything. It's just so mean. And I feel for people whose families have been ripped apart, their mother, son, daughter, whatever. Like, that's horrible. And I feel for them because I had it done to me on a different level. Yes, with hundreds of people. Of course I felt lonely. Of course I was scared. Of course I felt like I was starting my life over again. Okay, so for my last story. I have a really close friend and her family members are still involved in the Church of Scientology. So we both met actually in a cult recovery group, believe it or not. But we met there, and she was a second generation Scientologist born and raised inside Scientology. So I was helping her when her family was basically disconnecting from her, and she was traumatized, depressed, like going through like so much, and I was there for her every step of the way to give her advice, to have like a shoulder to cry on sort of thing. I really felt for her because this was her family that was disconnecting and cutting her off. So I felt really bad for her, and this was probably like a year or two ago maybe. Now fast forward to a couple weeks ago. I was inviting her to go to see my Scientology movie, which I premiere in. And of course, if you're watching this, like, I'm not mad at you. It's like, it's not meant. Just finish watching the video. I invited her to see my Scientology movie, and she told me that she may not be able to go because she's not going to be able to be seen publicly around me, or she's not going to be able to, go to the dinner before the show or do any of those sort of things, and she'd have to really consider it because she doesn't know if OSA is going to be there, if someone's going to be, writing down names of who's going into the theater or anything like that. And it's a real fear for people who are still like under the radar because they want to be vocal, they want to tell their story, they want to do all of that, but they can't, or they feel that they can't risk anything with the Church of Scientology. And she was telling me like she can't, speak out, and she can't like say publicly be my friend because the Church of Scientology is obviously a big factor in her family's life, and she can't do that to her family, right? She can't speak out because she doesn't want to hurt things for her mom or her dad or that sort of thing. But for me, just using this as an example in the story, I think that's completely the wrong way to think about it because that's giving Scientology the power, saying, yes, Scientology, if you rip apart families, then we won't speak out, right? So if I'm this person, right, and I say, screw disconnection, I'm going to speak out, I'll put up a billboard, I'll do whatever to be vocal and scream out about this because this isn't right, and tearing apart his, families and all that is wrong. They were willing to disconnect from her, and they sent her a disconnection letter saying, like, we want nothing to do with you. But then she's choosing her family because Scientology's interfering, in a sense, because they're saying, we'll never talk to you again because of Scientology. And they told her, and they basically said, the decision's on you, and if you decide to keep being like a critic of Scientology, or you decide, to antagonize our religion or do anything like that, then that's on you. So when we're in the grave and we're dead, then you can They told her the ball is in your court. It's your fault if this happens, because we're willing to be, you know, your mom and your dad, but you can't, you know, be critical about the Church of Scientology. But if we just say screw that, then they can't use disconnection because they know it's powerful. It's a powerful tool. If you say, okay, mom and dad, I don't want disconnection, so therefore I'm going to stay quiet. That's what Scientology wants. That's how they can use disconnection. That's why it's powerful. That's why they're a cult, and they can continue to break up families, because more people need to be vocal about it and speak up and bring, you know, all this to light. And I know there's plenty of people, and I totally understand on one side why you can't speak out. And I understand that you want to have your family together, and I understand all of that. Like, I totally 100% get that. But on the other side, for the great grand picture of disconnection and families being able to reunite, it's not just you. It's about families all over the world who are experiencing disconnection due to Scientology. And we need to stand up, saying this is fucked up, basically, and not let them get away with doing this anymore. And saying, hey, mom and dad, you know what? Then you're not going to speak to me, because your religion's telling you that you can't speak to me. I've done nothing wrong other than decide that Scientology isn't for me. If you want to be in my life, great. If not, choose your church. Put it back on them. Don't let Scientology have the power and win. But basically, that's my story about disconnection and how it almost is affecting me right now, because my friend can't publicly probably be seen with me because her family is still in the Church of Scientology. So that even though I'm out, even though I want to celebrate and be like, I'm out in the real world, even though I'm out and proud about being an ex-Scientologist, other people sometimes can't be. But by you not being able to say, be seen with me publicly or something like that, that's like playing along with Scientology's game, that I'm involved in like this circle of like, oh, I can't maybe send you a text because someone's going to see and say Steve Mango, or if I like your picture on Facebook and someone realizes I'm a critic and then they're a Scientologist and you get in trouble, and like, I just don't want to be involved in getting someone in trouble or something like that with the Church of Scientology. Like, you know, come after me, but I don't want other people to be attacked or their families broken up because of me. But whatever, you know, Scientology is fucked up, and disconnection is totally the most toxic policy Scientology has. But yeah, that's my story for you guys today. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.